Hey everybody, my name's Adam Brous,
I'm Scott Maupin.
and this is Solutions from the Multiverse, where we bring you a new solution every week to your happy earballs.
So thanks for joining us, and come by each Tuesday morning. We'll have a new episode ready for you. Here we go. Give it a go.
Yo, give it a go, go, go.
Have you ever
Let's
released
do it.
a pop music song?
I've recorded a few little weird noises on SoundCloud.
Well, I know you've done like kind of electronic-y things before, but
Yeah.
have you ever specifically tried to do like a music with like a verses and hooks and like writing lyrics and stuff?
No, not fully, no.
Okay. You didn't fall for
Yeah.
my trap, because if you said yes, I was going to make you divulge it or sing it or something.
No. I played like weird little, I mean, it doesn't have all those things, but it has, it's like a song and it has like parts, where it's
It's like a
different
song and it
parts
has
of the song.
parts.
Yeah,
It
but it
has
doesn't
different
have like
parts.
full verse, chorus, hooks. No, it doesn't have that.
Oh, okay.
It's just
How
like
did
interleaved
you
sounds.
decide what different parts to put in your like a song?
Well, they're kind of like mute sound. They're kind of like mute sound
Sounds?
poems.
You
They're
sounds.
like
Okay.
sound poems. So
Okay.
I play like my violin and like other like percussive sort of instruments, and like I have like little instruments like a clarinet and like other things in my house, and I'll like
Uh-huh.
play those, and then I'll
Yeah.
put like recordings of like people, like famous people talking in interviews underneath,
Uh-huh.
and then have it be like the music and then the sound. I don't so call it music because it's sort of just
It's
sounds.
basically beat poetry, but with clips
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Not
highlight
even
real
poetry
quick.
because the audio, the words are just the interview sounds, like from Marilyn Monroe being interviewed or Jackson Pollock being
So like it
interviewed.
might be like a standing bass, like doom 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 doom
Right,
doom
right.
doom
But then Marilyn
doom,
Monroe is
and then it
like
comes down.
talking
It's like,
about,
I have a dream that one day all,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
and then it
yeah.
comes back. It's like da, da,
Yeah, exactly. That would be a good one.
and then it's like, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or
like
I would just
tap.
leave it. I would just leave it as Martin Luther King the whole time.
Oh, just you just keep coming back.
Yeah. I don't
You're not
usually have it
mashing up.
switch up. I usually don't mash up. I just pick
Okay.
one thing. Because it's like, it'd be good if people listened to the Martin Luther King speech.
Ding,
But
ding,
then if there
ding,
was some
ding,
music
ding,
around it,
ding.
it'd be,
I'm Neo. I know Kung Fu
yeah.
now. This is the Matrix.
Oh, that would be a
Ding,
good
ding,
one.
ding.
Quotes from the Matrix would be good. Hey, that'd be good. You're coming up with good ones. Yeah. Or did you
Oh,
ever
am
hear
I?
this? Did you ever hear the speech at the end of or the speech at the end of Great Dictator, Charlie Chaplin's Great Dictator? You should check it out.
No.
Because at the end of The Great Dictator, he does this speech, and it's really riveting and like gives you goosebumps, and like I think it makes me tear up. It's so, like so powerful. Yeah.
My hot take on Chaplin: should have
Yeah.
stayed silent. Silent movie star should have stayed silent.
But when you hear this speech, you'll turn around, you'll change your opinion.
I'll turn around and I'll be like, I'm not looking at this anymore.
No, you'll be
I'll
like,
change.
I reverse
I'll be like, good job.
your perspective.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, Do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
I've got a solution, Scott.
I would like to hear it, please, now.
As per usual. As
Okay.
per usual.
As per usual.
As per usual. Okay, so I've been interacting with academic journals recently.
Interacting
than
with
ever
meaning
in the past. Like I
reading
submitting,
them?
like I got a journal article submitted
Yes.
and
Yeah, we talked
accepted
about that
by a
last
journal.
week. Nice.
So I've been learning
Congratulations.
more about thanks. So I've been learning more and more about like the world of academic journals and
Okay.
some of the sort of problems with them. I think one of the things that I've come up against that's a problem with them is what I will call the problem of ambitiousness.
The problem of ambitiousness.
Ambitiousness.
Okay.
So if you propose an idea that's, well, here's the solution. The solution is someone should start a new academic journal because anyone can start a journal. It's not
Okay.
like regulated.
Right.
So someone should start a new journal and the journal's premise should be ambitious ideas.
As opposed to
So this
how
is
would
what
you
all
classify
other journals are not ambitious.
what would you
basically.
classify their ideas as? Like sometimes ambitious
yeah.
or just unambitious or just like a smattering? What's the
Yeah. So basically,
how would you differentiate?
So basically, if you came out and said something really new and kind of, just a new idea,
Yeah.
that is not called, people don't say that idea is too new, we won't let it into our journal. What they say is that idea is too ambitious. And and that word ambitious is what they label ideas that are too new. So they say that's what they say. And that the presumption there is you would never be able to defend that adequately. And so no paper would reasonably publish it because it's too ambitious. But I think what that really means when people say that is our journals, all pretty much, this is all journals as far as I can tell, have the same thing.
Yeah.
Our journals have a prestige risk to publishing ideas that turn out to be wrong. And so we will not publish anything that could be wrong, even though it may be worthwhile in the field, in research, to have what I would call big swings. Big swings. Like you're really trying to hit the ball all the way out to the outfield, right? Big swings.
Ambitious
ideas that are very new, and they're not well founded, and they cannot be defended in one 20-page paper in a journal.
Is this like how the National Enquirer features ambitious journalism, like stories that the other newspapers are too scared to about Bigfoot's wedding or Bat Boy returning? Yeah,
exactly. Bat Boy.
Now I understand.
So this is kind of the National Enquirer version. We could call it the National Inquiry.
No, I don't think so. I think the National Enquirer is not what you want to.
No, we'll call it the National Inquiry
for credibility. You would have to call it the Credibility Journal.
Okay, that's
of ambitious ideas.
There you go. The Credibility Journal of Ambitious Idea. The highly prestigious Credibility Journal of Ambitious Ideas. I think no one would mistake what was going on there then.
We could just call it Trust Us, We're Ambitious.
.com.
.com, even though it's a printed journal. We just
.com.
Yeah.
Well, that .com has a lot of prestige.
Well, it's a website, but you have to go to the .com.org to get because we couldn't get the
.com.
Of course,
.org is better. Yeah. So I think that would be an interesting journal to look at.
So anyone can start a scientific journal. Obviously, it's not just that simple. If I start a scientific journal, no one is going to care. So you have to get like good people to be contributors, right? That's the key.
I think what we'd have to get is like good contributors, but also like good people supporting it and like sort of backing it. And I think you could do that by finding like old professors.
Well, George Soros, of course, would back. He backs everything.
George Soros. Okay.
So
I don't know about that. But George, I don't think so. George Soros probably wouldn't have anything to do with this.
No,
but
of course not.
Somebody who was like, hey, research should be more ambitious than it is. I've been in academia for 30 years, and I think research could be a lot more ambitious than it is. So let's start a journal where it's a journal of big swings. It's a journal where people do ambitious ideas. And actually, if you open the pages of the journal and you're not saying this is really ambitious, it lacks credibility, it's going to be, you're not able to prove this, then the paper would be failing, right? So that the success of this paper, of the papers in this journal, would be too ambitious, can't prove it, can only start a conversation.
Adam,
initiate.
You just said the name. You said this is a place where they're taking big swings, right? A journal.
Right.
Okay, so we got it's the Big Swingers Journal. Okay, so we're gonna have the Big Swingers Journal.
Okay, yeah.
And then
that doesn't have any kind of connotations.
Huh? What does that
have other connotations?
I'm sure there's.
I'm just gonna quickly Google Big Swingers and see if anything comes up. Oh my God! Oh no! This
Big
is
Swingers. Oh, well, you want to see, you want a local journal. So check out Big Swingers in my area. Just make sure
my area, Big Swingers in my area. Oh, now this is looking more interesting. This is okay.
Oh no.
Yep. Especially in San Francisco. There's lots of this here. So who could start this journal is Solutions from the Multiverse itself.
Us ourselves,
academic
with
journal.
all of our extra time and money.
This could be the Solutions academic
is where
journal.
We would put it,
because the whole idea is new ideas. Kind of big swings. Ambitious ideas. I think part of the reason why ambitious ideas are not accepted in sort of standard journals is because, like I said, there's a prestige risk because there's sort of negative fallout if the articles you posted then the ideas turn out to be like totally wrong. Like, you might say maybe this is going to work, and then someone finds some other, evidence that shows that really it's not right. So then that looks bad.
At the beginning
that looks
of
like
COVID,
that's wrong.
Someone goes,
right?
let's put bleach let's inject bleach and ivermectin.
Right, exactly. And then that gets published, and then,
And then
so
later on,
it would create controversy, which is interesting, but it wouldn't create like long-term citations over the long haul, right? So there's that kind of reputational risk. But I think if you came out and explicitly said this is our goal and made an explanation for why this is a worthwhile thing to do, and maybe even published that article in a less ambitious place,
a lower ambition,
right? Yeah, in a maybe in a prestigious journal, you say you prove that research is better if there are outlets for wild, sort of bigger swings. And then if you can demonstrate that in a very, very kind of cool, reasonable sense, if people, agree with that, then why not have a journal that can prove this? So maybe the first step is to demonstrate that research ought to have this kind of.
So a collection of like smart people with new idea, like, what'd you say, ideas? What kind of ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're usually they're academic papers. They can be in various fields.
Oh, ambitious. Sorry, I was just blanking on ambitious ideas. Yeah.
Right.
What if, so you keep saying journal. My old brain is like, that's a printed book that you hold in your hand. That's not what a journal is.
No,
right?
now they're
it's
all
an
digital.
online. Is it a website? Is it a thing on a website?
Yeah, it's like a pay, like usually it's like a payment gateway to get to the access to the article, but the article you can read the abstract, but then you have to pay to get the actual article.
And then once you're inside, you can like search.
But usually usually you're a professor or a student at a university. The universities pay for subscriptions to all these journals. And then those people who are inside those universities, like I as a professor can just go and see almost any journal article because my library gives me access to it.
Would it be always written, or would it be like audio stuff,
interpretive dances stuff? You think maybe?
Well, it could be interpretive dances.
I think this is
depends
just
on
papers.
the idea, I guess.
It's just paper. Papers have standard structure: abstract, introduction, lit review, main argument. Sort of standard. Sort of this is how you write a paper. You sort of stand on the shoulders of giants.
I'm getting the gifs.
Yeah.
What a journal looks like. Because I mean, my earliest incarnation of a journal is, opening up a journal and you write dear journal, and then you write about your day. Right. And then did you ever do that? Diary. Did you ever try journaling like that as a kid? Did you have a book where you would do a daily journal? I think I tried
because people said like, this is good.
Yeah.
But then I think I got more into just like writing in general rather than writing about my life or like my day.
I did a journal for a while. The same thing. Like I just was bad at keeping a daily habit of anything. I still am, but I tried writing about my day for a while. And I was like, this seems like I'm spending too much time doing something I don't want to do. So I stopped doing it.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know. What are you going to get out of reflecting on your day? I guess maybe
like age 8, right?
It might make you more empathetic. Like write about what other people felt and thought. That's probably a good idea, actually. But yeah, as a young testosteronal teenage boy, I wasn't like thinking, what do other people think and what are their feelings? I was thinking more about what I was concerned about. Yeah.
Okay. But, I sidetracked just because we were talking about journals. It made me wonder about what your journaling history looked like.
No, have you seen this new thing that people are into called a second brain? Or it's also called
second brain.
It's also called Zettelkasten, the German word.
Oh,
people use a piece of software called Obsidian. It's becoming quite popular. People use this software called Obsidian.
Okay.
And inside of it, you write these like notes, and then you can it's almost like Wikipedia inside the Obsidian. You can reference other notes and other topics through hyperlinks, and then you can build this like network that you can visualize of like all your different notes and how they relate to other topics and other things. So then you can see like your relationship of topics. So you can see all these topics and you can hover on one and it links to all the notes that have to do with that topic. And so you can like grab all the notes that have to do with a single topic and read through them. It just gives you this ability to like have a huge amount of information all kind of interrelated to each other visually and like kind of through hyperlinks. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's a way to like learn things.
How would you're using a screen to do this, or
yeah, it's like it's software.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's pretty cool. People are getting into it. If anyone wants to get into it, you just look at Obsidian and Zettelkasten or Second Brain. It comes, I think, a bit from like bullet journaling, but then now it's taken on a whole nother life.
Well, it sounds like a digital version of like making a big wall thing where you put all the red string between and all the connected
things. It is that. That's what it is.
You know what I mean, but it doesn't look like you're a crazy sociopath or a super intense detective. Those are the two options.
That's right.
You're either a serial killer or a serial killer catcher when you do those.
Yeah, this is Zettelkasten. Yeah, Zettelkasten or God, what do they call it? Second Brain. Anyways, that's kind of a cool journaling thing that people are getting into.
Okay.
But yeah, academic journals.
So what would we call our big idea journal?
I mean,
Big Swingers is not a good name.
Yeah, not a great name. But I think, usually people do just very standard names. The names are just like, something quarterly or like, journal of, So it could be called the Journal of Ambitious Inquiry. That's actually not that bad. The Journal of Ambitious Inquiry would be pretty cool because then it would tell you right in the name, like, hey, if you open this up and you're like, this is too ambitious, that's the whole dang point. We know it's too ambitious.
The JAI.
Yeah, and it could also be, people could even publish. I think what would be really neat is people could turn in like hypotheses. So no data, no evidence, nothing. And it could be really short. Could just be like, here's a hypothesis. This is happening because of this, this, and this. Who knows? But it's interesting. I think it's interesting. And you take it for what it is. You don't say, okay, this is truth. No, absolutely not. What you take it for is this is an interesting possibility. And you start to think about that. And if you had a whole journal of them, it'd be interesting to read like the 25 hypotheses that were submitted this month, Be interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then you could cite that hypothesis and start adding piecemeal evidence to it or against it. So someone could put in a hypothesis and then somebody else could be like, I could write like a little paper, like, they could just write like a 2-page response and say, this hypothesis was really interesting. Here's some problems I see with it. Boom, 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 boom. And then somebody else could read that and read the hypothesis and be like, no, they're forgetting this. And you could actually kind of piece together like a full thought about that hypothesis, which if you just left it to one person to have to come up with a very ambitious hypothesis and then build up the entire defense of that hypothesis, it just would never happen and it wouldn't be publishable because it's too ambitious.
Well, and you miss the back and forth that the Socratic method, you miss the input from others that you're the things you don't know that you don't know, your blind spots.
That's right. So you could create this cool, and people could submit whole articles with evidence and, defenses of what they're saying, but it should be really a big swing. Like I have tons of these ideas and I've told them to I have these various advisors that I talk to about trying to get papers published. And, I say to them, what if I tried to say this? And they're like, unpublishable. And I'm always like, why? And they say, too ambitious. I'm like, why isn't there just a journal for things that are too ambitious? It's cool. Why not? It's not going to hurt anybody to have ambitious ideas. Should I share an example?
Sure.
Okay. So one example I have is I think it's plausible to argue. Again, it's ambitious and it's not proven and it would need a lot of work. But as an ambitious idea, as a big swinger, I would say that the philosophies, starting with Schopenhauer, but including Hume, Schopenhauer, and Nietzsche, basically the foundations of what has now become postmodernist, basically what everyone thinks today in the West is based on these three guys. You could argue, I think, quite strongly that all of their core ideas and attitudes and outlooks are coming almost completely from Asian philosophy and Buddhism and Hinduism. I think you can argue that quite strongly, actually. There's some evidence that Hume was in a monastery with a guy who was one of the only guys who went to Tibet, and he tried to convert the Tibetans to Catholicism when he was there for 25 years, but actually they converted him to Tibetan Buddhism. So he came back as a Tibetan Buddhist, and Hume was just writing. He was just hanging out in this like monastery to write, and he just was having lunch every day with this guy. There was 120 guys in this room, in this monastery. They all ate together 2-3 meals a day. Hume was there. One of the guys was like had been in Tibet for 25 years. There's no way that they didn't talk again and again and again over meals and make a relationship and learn about Tibetan Buddhism. And then lo and behold, all of his theories are just like almost exactly Buddhism. Like they're just like, and the same thing with Nietzsche and the Upanishads. Like when you read Nietzsche's book called Thus Spake Zarathustra, it's pretty much just sounds like the Vedas. Like it sounds like the way the Vedas and the Upanishads and sort of some of the Buddhist texts sound. Like it's this sort of Oriental philosopher walking around and talking to people. And and then his ideas beyond good and evil, that's just Buddhist morality. That's just Buddhist morality, is that good and evil are these this kind of false dichotomy. They don't really exist. They're kind of, they do exist, but they exist in this sort of interdependent way with other things. And so there's no absolute good and evil, the way Western sort of Christian or kind of absolutist modern ideas about good and evil. But Nietzsche comes along and is like, we're beyond good and evil. Good and evil are just these interdependent concepts. And that becomes, moral pluralism, moral relativism, which is our modern idea. So anyways, that's like an idea that basically all of Western modern philosophy, contemporary philosophy, has all just been based on the Upanishads, the Vedas, and the Buddhist texts. But if you say that, people are like, you're crazy. That's way too ambitious to say.
So you got to put it in a new journal.
That's why we got to do a new journal.
Then it's got to, then you go, well, it's cited now. And they go, well, then that's less crazy, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's cited as a crazy thing. Like, this is a crazy idea. That's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with people having crazy ideas. So anyways, I think it might be different for different journals. Like, I don't think you need a big swings journal for science, really. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you do. I think sometimes things are almost like you need whistleblowers. You almost need like whistleblowers to say, this experiment is not getting done. No one has done this experiment, but it would decide the solution. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to solve this question in science, you would do this experiment. Why is no one doing it? That's almost like a whistleblower, right? And right now, if you there's no way to publish that. There's no place to put that sort of like, hey, no one's doing this experiment. Someone do it, and it would prove yes or no on this question. So, for example, right now, everyone knows this in academia. If you do experiments and find out that your hypothesis is wrong, it's very hard to get that paper published. But if you find out that your hypothesis is either right or that there's some evidence that maybe it's right, that's publishable. But that's not good science. That's really bad science.
Okay.
Right? Good science would be, I tried it. It didn't work. That's really important for other people to know. Right? And so this bias towards correct, right answers to only be published. First of all, it's not good science. Second of all, it actually leads to people fudging their data a lot. This has been shown that actually people will do what's called p-hacking, which is changing things around and sort of changing their, sort of reinterpreting their data, massaging it until
that doesn't sound good.
But this is what the incentive leads to. If you say, you can only do correct ideas, and in the humanities, it's the same thing. If you can only publish ideas in philosophy or literature or in the humanities that the peer reviewers believe are correct, not just that are plausible, then you're going to get to the same thing. So this is a big problem in academia. People know about this problem. This is not like I'm just coming up with this. It's not like I invented this problem. This is a major problem. It's a peer review. It's called peer review crisis or peer review problem, or the problem with journals right now. You could talk about it all different ways. But so it's not like just crazy. I'm not making up this problem. What if there was a journal where people could have ambitious ideas, and that would be the sort of standard of that journal? And we talked about some of the reasons why that wouldn't exist is because of the way prestige works in academic, environments. But a lot of the ideas today that everyone thinks are common knowledge and are well proven 100 years ago were wild, totally ambitious ideas. Academics will never cite anything that isn't published in another journal, which means if somebody does have a big swing and then they publish it in like a blog post and it is really important, it will still never be cited in the academic literature. And if you do, it will be, your paper will be rejected because they'll say you're citing something that isn't peer reviewed. So there's this disjunction where if you do want to reference,
sounds like people know the rules
idea,
and they know how to get into journals, so they easily.
You're talking to someone who knows the rules and knows how to do it. I'm doing it. So it's not.
What's the lament here? Wait, what's the lament? Is the lament that you can't get the thing into the journal? Is the lament that you don't get the stamp of?
I can get things into the journal, Scott. No, I know how to do it. It's not personal.
Stick with me. What did you just say? You were just saying someone has an idea, they can't get it in because they put it in a blog post, they can't cite it. Why is that bad?
So say somebody has a really revolutionary idea, right?
Okay.
And they can't get it into a journal.
Cold fusion. I have cold fusion. I put it in my Medium post.
Well, cold fusion you can make money with. But what if you come up with, for example, a way to...
What if I come up with a completely useless idea that's new? Okay.
Well, what if you come up with a definition of slavery that really improves people's understanding of slavery in the modern times?
Okay.
Right.
Sounds like something it runs
completely contrary to the existing theory of slavery, which I'm sure there's a whole literature on the meaning of slavery and But let's say someone comes up with a completely revolutionary idea about this and totally reverses everything. They say, instead of thinking about them like slaves, you have to think about them like some other way, whatever. I don't know, whatever. And then but that's now unpublishable because it's a totally ambitious idea. But say they do write it as a blog post.
Hold on. It's unpublishable where?
In peer-reviewed journals.
Okay. So you can put it somewhere else?
Yeah. Okay. So now let's lay that out. So the person then writes a great Medium post, and it's beautiful and written really well and really plausible and good. But now, because I told you, there's no way for academic journal people to then cite that blog post. It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
All right, everybody, take care. Keep it concretey.
Keep it concretey.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey there, thanks for listening to that episode of Solutions from the Multiverse.
Yep, we're back with a little after roll. Hello.
Hey, after roll. Roll that after roll. So basically, we want you to subscribe and rate and review and tell someone, like take your favorite solution and send it to someone who you think it would like blow their mind to hear it.
Yeah, we love making the show. We're proud of it. And we're excited. We want other people to show. We know that the main way people find podcasts is word of mouth. I know that's true for me. I listen to my friends who also listen to podcasts tell me about ones, and I go, okay, I'm cluing into that. So we want to be part of that chain.
So thanks for being a part of Solutions.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Bye.